Chapter 631. Get out of my house now. The foreigner behind then shrugged and smiled. There's no point in talking so much. Why don't you show us now? We also hope that this won't be a wasted trip. The few of them sat down. Lin Che was exhausted, but she stepped into it, pinched her cheeks, and looked at herself in the mirror. Her eyes were already becoming livelier. The few of them watched from the back. When they first saw Lin Che, they really felt slightly disappointed. They thought that she looked so exhausted that she was on drugs. It made them lose interest. They thought that her sunny appearance in the advertisement was merely a result of the advertisement. She was probably a very lazy person in real life. Thus, they became disinterested in her. But now, they witnessed as Lin Che seemed to suddenly turn into another person. She was immersed in her role and immediately came alive. Her eyes became sharp as she was filled with the emotions from the drama. That foreigner at the front was curious and sat up straight. The one behind still had doubts and wanted to see how she was going to perform. He tilted his head and watched her. Lin Che looked at the script. It was one of those rather classic dramas. The woman came out from inside, thinking about her meeting with the male lead. The male lead admitted that he was a vampire hunter. She was devastated but still left sassily. Outside, her coldness revealed hints. In her eyes and body that lacked warmth, she could no longer conceal the sorrow in her heart. She reached out and used her vampire superpowers to break off the wooden bridge in front of her. The changes in her eyes were very effective and clearly detailed. The foreigners watched her. It was indeed different from Hollywood acting, but it was also very natural and beautifully detailed. On top of that, these tiny emotions were expressed very well. It didn't look as artificial or deliberate as what they usually saw in C-Nation dramas and movies. That foreigner stood up first and said, "Very good. You're very different from what I imagined. I always thought that the actors in C-Nation were too exaggerated." Lin Che smiled and said, "I know. Our acting usually goes overboard, but professional actors want to experience the character's personality so that they are in line with the original characters. When it comes to expressing our emotions, we see nationals are different from foreigners. When it comes to filming shows and movies for our own people to see, we naturally have our own uniqueness. But I'm a professional actor and I want to perform for a Hollywood audience. Our performance will also change accordingly." "I see. It looks like we haven't understood fully what it means to be an actor, so we have misunderstood C-Nation's acting style." He also turned behind to look at the other guy who thought little of Lin Che. He could only smile and say, "Yes, I think your acting is very good. You're as good as Mu Feiren." Lin Che replied, "Thank you, but Sister Feiren is the publicly acknowledged queen. I do not dare to compare with her. I can only say that she is my role model." They subsequently had a good chat, but this didn't stop Lin Che from looking tired again. That foreigner asked, "Are you feeling tired?" Lin Che said, "Yes. I apologize that you have to see me like this. My dog was ill last night and had an operation. I haven't recovered from it." No, you're very professional." After Lin Che bade farewell to them, she walked out. Unexpectedly, lights were flashing in the distance outside. Cameras followed her every step. When Lin Che and Yu Minmin returned to their company, the news had already spread on the internet. It said that the media knew that Lin Che was going to audition for the Hollywood film, Blood, today. She was auditioning for one of the female lead roles, the Vampire Queen. This movie's focus would be on the vampire hunter. Although it was a masculine movie, this female role was well deserved. Rumors said that Blood would pick a C-Nation actor, so it caused a lot of commotion in the local entertainment circle. Now, they finally saw Lin Che go for the audition. However, after seeing how Lin Che looked like after the audition, it seemed as if the result was not ideal. Judging on Lin Che's past roles, everyone thought that Lin Che was the best among the four newcomers. Despite this, they were still miles away from the Hollywood standard. Thus, they could understand if they didn't manage to be involved in the Hollywood movie. But speculations claimed that this role was already internally decided to be Lin Che's. Whether it was Eric's doing or not, the truth was yet to be revealed. After reading this, Yu Minmin handed it to Lin Che and asked, "What the hell are these people doing? They are saying that it was already internally decided to be yours." Lin Che read it and also laughed it off. "Well, They can't follow me back to the GU residence and take the chance that nobody is home. They came straight to the audition venue. It has been hard on these people too. Yes, never mind, don't think too much. Whoever gets the role, in the end, is entirely up to the crew. Just because the paparazzi said that your acting skills are bad doesn't mean that they are bad. But Yu Minmin was also very exasperated. Lin Che's acting was publicly acknowledged. What did they mean by it was a rumor? They made it sound like they spread it around themselves. Everybody acknowledged her. Lin Che did not bother with this first. She only wanted to go home early and check on Prince. Meanwhile, at the GU residence, Gu Jingze entered and heard the housekeeper say, they said that the last time they saw Prince, he went in the direction of Miss Mo, but nobody saw Miss Mo do anything to Prince. This. Gu Jingze's face was extremely dark. He walked in expressionless and cold. It scared the maids at the sides. Where is Mo Hilling? His voice sounded a lot colder than he looked. Sir, Miss Mo is inside. Gu Jingze brought his men with him and walked straight to Mo Hilling's room. Since the day she moved in, Gu Jingze had never gone close to her room. Hearing the sounds now, Mo Hilling stood up. Seeing Gu Jingze actually opening the door to enter, Mo Hilling's face was filled with joy. Jingze, you're here, just in time. I'm looking at the ultrasound. Do you want to take a look? The baby is getting big and we can see him. She thought that Gu Jingze finally thought about her since Lin Che was not home today. Unexpectedly, Gu Jingze immediately said, pack up your things today and get out of my house. The joyful smile on Mo Hilling's face immediately fell. What did you say? Gu Jingze said, you've been staying here for a while now. I think your arm is already healed enough. Since you're healed, isn't it time for you to leave? I have not. My wound is still not healed. I still want to recuperate here. Gun wounds don't heal so easily. Enough. Gu Jingze's eyes stared at her coldly. Maybe I should be more direct. I don't need to beat around the bush with you. You wanted to stay here to recuperate. On account that you helped Lin Che that one time, I have been tolerating you. But now, you actually did such a thing to Prince. Chapter 632. I'll make you and Gu Jingze regret this. Mo Hilling lifted her gaze and looked at Gu Jingze meekly. What do you mean I did something to Prince? What are you talking about? Gu Jingze scoffed, are you playing dumb with me? Hilling, I'm already being extremely benevolent to you. Get out now. Of course, Mo Hilling was not willing. She sat on the bed and grabbed the bedpost. She looked up stubbornly at Gu Jingze, I'm not leaving. Over my dead body, I won't leave even if you drag me. Mo Hilling did not believe that Gu Jingze would really be ruthless enough to chase her out. However, Gu Jingze only shot a look at his side. The bodyguards walked towards Mo Hilling and simply grabbed her. Mo Hilling immediately crumbled and wailed. Don't touch me. Nobody can touch me. Gu Jingze, I'm not healed yet. You can't do this to me. Gu Jingze didn't take another glance at her. He turned around silently. The bodyguards began to drag Mo Hilling. She struggled with defiance but was ignored. Let go of me. Gu Jingze, I'm pregnant. What exactly do you want to do? Gu Jingze, are you really treating me like this over a dog? Gu Jingze scoffed, it's only now that you know who Prince is. Mo Hilling was stumped. Gu Jingze, that is only a dog. Do you really want to vent your anger on me over one dog? Gu Jingze looked at Mo Hilling. He said without wanting to drag this anymore, where are the rest? Take her out. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. I finally moved into the GU residence. Once I got in, I never intended to leave. Mo Hilling cried and wailed. But Gu Jingze did not budge. Mo Hilling really thought that she would not leave once she moved in. She spent so much effort to finally be able to move in, and now, Gu Jingze wanted to chase her out. She was not going to leave. Why should she? Gu Jingze, why are you doing this to me? What's so good about Lin Che? You have been brainwashed by her. She is just an illegitimate child. She is just an actress. You're actually treating me this way now. Do you think that she's some angel? She has no status and you pamper her like a princess. Does she even deserve it? Gu Jingze couldn't be bothered to explain to her. Neither did he want to say anything else. He turned his back on her as her voice gradually faded. As he left, she continued yelling. Gu Jingze, you'll regret this. Are you disregarding your principles because of this woman? You used to be such a proper man. You used to be so aloof. How can you do this because of her? What right does she have? Mo Hiling really could not understand why he doted on Lin Che so much. Why did he treat Lin Che much better than how he treated her? She had never experienced Gu Jingze's warmth. Now, it was all Lin Che's. Why, she really couldn't understand it. However, Gu Jingze was simply so enchanted by Lin Che that he behaved so differently from when they were together. It was a totally different expression of love and it really made Mo Hiling feel unjust. She was jealous of Lin Che. She was jealous that Lin Che had everything she dreamed of. She was dragged out. Outside, the chauffeur was waiting. He looked at her and said, Miss Mo, Mr. Gu instructed us to send you home. No need for that, Mo Hiling pushed him away angrily. You should get in the car, Miss Mo. We also need to send your luggage back. I said I don't want to. Mo Hiling kicked her luggage away. I can buy new versions of all these things easily. Who cares about these? Do you think that everyone is like that wretched young madam of yours? Humph. Mo Hiling looked inside and said hatefully, Gu Jingze, Lin Che, you guys will regret this. You'll regret this. Mo Hiling walked out as she mumbled, everybody will know that Lin Che actually did this to me. Everybody will know that you, Gu Jingze, fell in love with Lin Che and because of this actress, you abandoned me. You abandoned our child and now, you even chased me out because of Lin Che. Aren't you guys afraid of retribution? Humph. Mo Hiling left like that. She already made a firm resolution in her heart. She would definitely smear Lin Che's name completely. She had nothing to lose now anyway. She was not afraid of anyone. Just then, Lin Che was driving back home. She saw Mo Hiling walking out and slowed down. She looked at Mo Hiling strangely. Mo Hiling stood there and stared viciously at Lin Che. Lin Che, don't think that you can relax now that you've chased me out. I just want to see how long Gu Jingze can dote on you. He will get tired of you sooner or later, just like how he got tired of me. Lin Che only repeated strangely, chased you out. Ha, are you playing dumb with me now? I'm telling you that it's useless. I know that you're the mastermind behind everything. Just because I kicked your dog. Humph, you and your dog will get chased out of this house sooner or later. When the time comes, we'll see whether you can still be this arrogant. Lin Che's heart moved. Gu Jingze already chased Mo Hiling out like this. But if they caused such a commotion, wouldn't Mo Hiling kick up a fuss with the Gu family? And if she kicked up a fuss, how would everyone think of Gu Jingze? Lin Che was used to getting insulted, but she really didn't want Gu Jingze to go through the same thing. She didn't want that at all. She headed home and saw Gu Jingze in the living room. She quickly went over to him and said, Gu Jingze, this. Gu Jingze gazed at her. His eyes were still cold but a lot more gentle. What's wrong? Is it all right? I have a feeling that she will kick up a fuss. It's okay, she can go ahead if she wants to. Anyway, no matter how much she wants to smear our names now, the truth will come to light in the future. Lin Che nodded, okay then. You're right, the truth will come to light. However, Lin Che simply couldn't bear for him to be compromised. Mo Hiling left the Gu residence just like that. When she returned to the Mo family, Father Mo looked at her and sighed. All right, now, you've become a joke. If people find out that you were driven out, my face. It's Lin Che's fault. It's all Lin Che's fault. Mo Hiling exclaimed. Father Mo grunted. You can't even win against this Lin Che, tell me. What else can I say to you? You were with Gu Jingze for so long. How come Gu Jingze never protected you this much? Now, he is so protective of Lin Che. Stop it. I won't let them live in peace. Mo Hiling swiped the things on the table angrily and stormed off to her room. After that, she began spreading everywhere about how bad Lin Che treated her and how she drove her out. She claimed that Lin Che was not considerate of Gu Jingze's and her child. She claimed that Lin Che made things difficult for her at the Gu residence and even ganged up with the maids at home to snub her out. Chapter 633. The rumors she spread were really too ugly. Mo Hiling complained over WeChat and on the phone. She complained to just about anyone she could find. She told people, "You guys have no idea. Lin Che appears so nice on the outside, but she's especially evil behind closed doors. She specifically got people to play tricks on me. She appears so gracious by letting me move in with them, but she secretly let her people attack me. I'm a pregnant lady but she didn't even let me off. She said that she tricked me into moving in and wanted to harm my baby. She can't have kids of her own, so she doesn't want me to have a child too." The next day, this information became uglier as it spread. As soon as Lin Che woke up, Yu Minmin called her and asked, "What exactly did you do? Why are people outside talking about you?" Lin Che said exasperatedly, "What are they saying about me? I've got gossip again." "It's not gossip. The maids outside are all talking about you." Huh, Lin Che was completely stunned. She had no idea what had happened at all. Yu Minmin said, "Yes, I told you before. This circle is not large and word spreads easily. Some small matters would spread around among the maids and caretakers, much less a huge thing like this." "What exactly is it?" "When I left just now, I heard the maids say that Gu Jingze was kicked out of the home by the Gu family." "Yes, Gu Jingze kicked her out yesterday, but that's not her home. That is my home." Yes, but that was how Gu Jingze said it. Furthermore, I saw through what the maids meant. That is your home, but in everyone's eyes, Gu Jingze is carrying Gu Jingze's child and that means that she has a foot in the Gu family's door. Thus, it is reasonable for her to say that she was kicked out of her home. What kind of ridiculous logic is this? Don't care so much about that. Anyway, that's what people think now. Everyone is saying that you're really ruthless to treat Gu Jingze this way. You intentionally tricked her into moving in and wanted to get rid of her baby. You are really cunning. How come this whole situation seems so familiar? It's a bit like the palace drama that Mu Feiren filmed a few years back. The more Lin Che heard about this, the funnier she thought it was. Yu Minmin said, Go. Who is joking around with you now? This is all real. Everyone is saying that what you did was wrong. As a madam of the Gu family, you should be magnanimous. How can you try to get rid of your husband's child just because someone else is carrying it? This child is also the Gu family's flesh and blood and you should treat the baby as if it was your own. Now, they all say that you're cruel and evil. Also, they said that you're not fit to be with Gu Jingze. They said that you actually don't match up to Gu Jingze, but you're a bit more arrogant because you get special treatment and that is why you're so ruthless. They even said that you brainwashed Gu Jingze because he didn't keep you in check. You must have enchanted him and tricked him. You hid your vicious heart from him and that is why he gives in to you so much. Yu Minmin then continued, in any case, they are just saying that you are a wolf in a sheep's skin. You snubbed out Gu Jingze for the sake of a man and you even eradicated her. You are the third party but now you are executing the original. Ha, Lin Che was so angry that her lungs hurt. After a long time, she then said, alright, I must really hand it to her. Gu Jingze only just left the Gu residence and she already spread this much. You better be careful when you go out today. You are basically like a street rat now. Lin Che stood there with the phone in her hand. She heard Yu Minmin's muted chuckle and she said, you still have the cheek to laugh. Alright, Lin Che, a cornered dog will jump over the wall. That is why she would say such things about you. However, Gu Jingze will never believe this and he will hate her more instead. What are you worried about? What people say will sooner or later be discredited. Don't get too upset. Lin Che heard this and gradually calmed down. She was indeed not that angry anymore. Yes, Gu Jingze would never believe it anyway. He knew the truth. In that case, why did it matter what other people felt and said? In contrast, if she was really affected, that would only make Gu Jingze happy. Lin Che was still somewhat angry, but not so much anymore. Gu Jingze already left the house early in the morning. Lin Che later went out too. However, when she was outside, she saw some neighbors passing by. They saw Lin Che and harbored a different interest in their eyes. Lin Che didn't know many people in this circle and didn't feel much about them. Lu Baikan suddenly sent a WeChat message and asked her what exactly was going on. Lin Che asked speechlessly, how did you already know? Lu Baikan didn't say anything and simply pulled her into a group chat. Lin Che froze and opened to see the group chat. In the group chat were all ladies from wealthy families. They were updating each other with the latest information and discussed it non-stop. I think that Lin Che did go overboard. She can be angry, but she shouldn't chase a pregnant woman out. Exactly. She was so bad to a pregnant woman. She is really mean. Lin Che scrolled through the people in the group chat and then asked Lu Baiken, "What are you doing?" Lu Baiken replied, "You asked me how I knew about it. I got my news from here. Boss, you didn't have to pull me into the group chat. Seeing it makes my blood boil." "Fine, then do you want to exit it?" Lu Baiken asked. Lin Che thought for a while and said, never mind. Since I'm already inside, why should I leave?" Lin Che looked at the group chat again. These rich princesses usually had nothing better to do. Their ability to gossip did not fare any worse than those netizens online. Lin Che was insulted until no end. She stopped reading and logged out of WeChat. She headed to her company to handle other matters. Mo Hilling looked at her own creation and listened to comforting words from people over the phone. She asked the maids at home. "You guys went to check on Lin Che. Did she leave the house?" "Yes, miss. Lin Che left the house as normal." Mo Hilling scoffed and said, "How shameless. She was already insulted this much. If I were her, I'd be hiding at home and not dare to come out. She still has the cheek to step out." However, in a split second, Mo Hilling smiled triumphantly, "Never mind. It looks like she should have been upset over it and didn't want to be laughed at. Thus, she can only pretend as if nothing happened. She deserves it. I just knew it. You dare to treat me this way? Haven't you thought about how I'm handicapped now? Haven't you thought about how I'm a pregnant lady?" Mo Hilling was very happy and she continued spreading her words to people. She even told Li Mingyu about this. Li Mingyu was overseas. When he heard Mo Hilling over the phone, he said quietly, "You're being too ridiculous with this." Mo Hilling said, "Anyway, you have to help me spread it. I didn't tell Gu Jingze that you stole his sperm. Otherwise, how do you think he will deal with you if he finds out?" At the mention of this, Li Mingyu didn't want to say anything more. He replied, Fine, I'll help you. But I just want to tell you not to go overboard." Chapter 634. Her fans started arguing with Mu Feiren's fans. Lin Che reached the company and immediately received a piece of good news. Yu Minmin said, "I've just been informed by the production crew. You've been selected as the female lead for Blood. Everybody thinks that you're the most suitable candidate." Lin Che was so happy that she heaved a sigh of relief. "Really? That's great, I finally have good news. Otherwise, I might die of depression." Yu Minmin said, "It's okay. Don't get upset over that anymore. This too shall pass." "I know." Yu Minmin pulled Lin Che along with her and brought her to the rehearsal room behind. "Come over and see this. Training has already begun for our new recruits." Lin Che's interest was piqued as she followed Yu Minmin. Through the window, she could see people attending the training. Yu Minmin said, "Shui Yang's performance is not bad. He has recently been selected for a TV drama again. This time, the amount of screen time is not bad. When the filming there is done, we can go and film." "Really? That's great." Lin Che heard that the new recruits were pretty good. This also gave her satisfaction. Although she was a boss now, she never felt like the part until now. Seeing these new recruits hard at work, she now felt that these people were depending on her and the company. Through the window, Lin Che saw that these people were very focused and hardworking. They listened as the staff talked to them and the teacher, whom Yu Minmin pulled strings to hire, taught them. They listened very intensely. But just then, someone suddenly said, "Look, it's Sister Che." The recruits turned their heads. Lin Che looked at them. She had no choice but to open the door and walk inside. "Hello everyone, I must be interrupting you guys." No, Sister Che. You're here. Sister Che, we're having a lesson on performance. Would you like to give us a few words? Exactly, Sister Che. You are so good at acting. Can you share your experience? Lin Che could only walk over and say to everyone, acting indeed requires practice. In the past, many actors had pretty good skills. Now, everyone thinks that many new actors can't compare to the old ones. Actually, it is because they filmed many shows and at that time, the actors weren't worth a lot. Actors were just like normal working people taking average salaries. If they filmed more shows, they would be rewarded. They had to take up whatever their companies gave them. Thus, everyone could only fight hard to earn money and they ended up filming more. Gradually, their acting improved and so I hope you guys don't get anxious. Take it slow and study diligently. Skills cannot be passed down verbally. Sometimes, you need your own knowledge a lot more. Lin Che said this and turned back to smile at the teacher. I'm just spouting nonsense. The teacher said, not at all. Your words may be rough but they are logical. You're right, Lin Che. Now, you're a celebrity with good acting skills, but other stars now are really when some actors accept shows, they would see how influential is it for their own fame. When they are filming, they would again be worried about their image. Thus, during filming, they would keep too much of their own image and they will easily not fit the scripted image. This is really not good. Lin Che smiled and said, all right, all of you have heard this right. I hope that our company can walk the path of placing skills first. I hope everyone can understand that only skills can support us until the end. If you become famous without any skills, you can only be famous for so long, right? Everyone immediately applauded and praised her. Sister Che, we know. We want to learn from Sister Che and place acting skills as a priority. This is how we can be famous for so long like you. Furthermore, you'll continue being famous. Exactly. I used to think Chin Wanwan was so great, but now she has been so quiet. Yes, she can't win over our Sister Che at all. Her acting is so bad and she still wanted to compete with Sister Che for roles. Lin Che was speechless. She did not expect them to go there. She quickly said, no, actually Chin Wanwan and I do not walk on the same path. It's just the media that always put us together. Yu Minmin politely told everyone to resume training and she took Lin Che away. Lin Che said, their compliments are really. Yu Minmin chuckled and said, of course. You're a big tree now and many people hope to stay under your lucky shade. Stop it. Really, you're now not only a celebrity, you're also their boss. Of course, they will listen to you just like how you first entered the workplace yourself. You must have also thought that people like Song Shuai spoke very logically and impressively. You would have wanted to suck up to her and be recommended by her. Now, this is exactly how they're looking at you. Lin Che thought about it. She was indeed like this back then. It was just that she didn't expect them to think that way about her now. Thus, she now gave the same mighty feeling that Song Shuai gave her back then. Alright, she really couldn't get used to it. The two of them chatted and laughed as they headed back. While they were still in high spirits, another piece of news once again suddenly surfaced. Sister Yu, I just saw the news online. They already posted about Sister Che getting selected for the role. Yu Minmin asked, really? The news got out fast. We haven't released a statement, have we? It wasn't us. Someone else leaked it out. Yu Minmin waved her hand in acknowledgement and then looked at the news on her computer. As usual, there were many news articles in front, but there was one at the back that stood out. Someone said, Lin Che is really the #1 in acting in our country now. She is unrivaled. Who said that Chin Wanwan was great? Lin Che is already more famous now. Among the 4 newcomers back then, only Lin Che is still so popular. 2 of them never became famous and expired just like that. Yu Minmin scrolled through the comments below. Some agreed and said, Lin Che's presence is apparent and others can't do the same. Chin Wanwan went to the sidelines a long time ago and Mu Feiran is too old for anything. Lin Che is definitely more popularly than Mu Feiran now. Otherwise, why would the Hollywood crew call up Lin Che and not Mu Feiran? Of course, they want to get the best female star in our country so that they can earn more for their box office. Lin Che's fans saw these and were naturally happy. They immediately spread it around, that is right. Of course, our Lin Che's acting is good. Baby Che's skills are apparent. The mighty Baby Che will be heading towards Hollywood. The screen time for the female lead in Blood is considered plenty in Hollywood. Furthermore, it's the role of the vampire queen. Baby Che is fantastic. However, there were some who immediately disagreed. A fan of Chin Wanwan said, "Who are you calling expired? Don't drag others down when you're praising your Lin Che." Chapter 635. Why are these playboys standing on her side? More of Mu Feiren's fans immediately rebutted and said, you guys should understand a few things. Mumu can't be bothered to compare with you guys and just wants to live her own life. That is why she's not as exposed. She is already the uncontested top dog. Some fans should keep themselves in check and not be such an embarrassment. Lin Che's fans were even more riled up. Their insults were especially harsh. Lin Che's fans said, just take a look at how old Mu Feiren is. How can she still compare with her junior? Mu Feiren's fans got more agitated. Mu Feiren is only older than Lin Che by a few years. She started early. Oh, then Mu Feiren never took good care of herself. She looks 10 to 20 years older, so of course, that's what I thought. At least she's still better than Lin Che, who relies on people to push her up and carve a path for her. This kind of person still dares to talk about skills. What a joke. When our Mumu won the gold medal award, your Lin Che was still playing in pee and mud. They burst into a full-blown argument. Their words were later so ugly that it really left people speechless. Yu Minmin sat there puzzled. Meanwhile at Dynamic Pictures, Qin Wanwan scrolled through her phone. She laughed as she saw the intense verbal war. Sister Lin laughed and said, this time, we can stand to benefit from this. Qin Wanwan said, all right, this place is already filled with our own people bickering with each other as if they are really at war. When are you going to think bigger and truly bring me more fans? Wanwan, don't be anxious. This is only the beginning. Soon enough, the fight will become worse. Don't worry, they only just decided to give the female lead role of Blood to Lin Che. We are not prepared enough. From today onwards, there'll be a good spectacle to watch. The corners of Qin Wanwan's lips curled up menacingly. Her slim jaw tilted upwards slightly. Lin Che went up behind Yu Minmin to see what she was looking at. Yu Minmin said, some of these comments are weird. Yes, Lin Che said. Why would my fans talk like this? It's a little over the top, isn't it? Yeah, I also think that it's too much, Lin Che replied. Yu Minmin said, furthermore, we would have one such comment popping up every now and then and we would just forget about it. This is way too many and it is worrying. It looks like someone is intentionally posting comments like these. No way, what should we do then? Let's see how it plays out first. I'll get our people to observe this tonight. Then, we'll think about our reply. Lin Che clenched her fists as she looked ahead depressingly. I never thought of competing against anyone. I don't want to compete with Qin Wanwan and I don't want to compete with Mu Feiren even more. The winds howl around the highest peaks and you're the highest peak. Alright, just go home first. Lin Che felt rather depressed. Back home, Mo Hilling was spreading rumors about her and she was being reprimanded. Now, the internet was also reprimanding her. She really wondered if she did something wrong. Somewhere along the line, she must have not done a proper job. Otherwise, she must have been a truly bad person for people to insult her like this. She could feel that her emotions were unstable. She thought that maybe she was more sensitive because her period was coming soon. She decided that when she went home, she would not look at Weibo or the forums. Otherwise, she would continue being angry. However, when she got home, Lu Baiken sent her another message saying, wow, you're famous, eh? There are people in the circle supporting you. Lin Che asked curiously, what do you mean? You didn't see the WeChat group? They've been bickering the whole afternoon. I didn't, I was afraid of torturing myself. Lin Che quickly went to the WeChat group to see. There was already a long string of exchange inside. How long had it been this lively for? Lin Che hurriedly scrolled up the chat log and realized that there were really a lot of people speaking up for her. Lin Che came out as the champion of the WW banquet. How is she not better than Mo Hilling? I support Lin Che. Don't talk about anything else. For getting knocked up so openly, Mo Hilling is the cheap one. Gu Jingze never even admitted that the child is his. Who knows for sure how Mo Hilling got pregnant? He doesn't want her and she still clings to him. One lady disagreed, you men are the cheap ones. Once you're done playing, you dump them. And you women aren't, you willingly give yourselves up to be played. You are cheap. You are cheap. You dare to call me cheap again? Your family can forget about getting their fresh seafood tomorrow. I'll let your family's stores close worldwide. Humph, the girl threatened. The guy responded with a very sly expression and said, fine. Then, when is your family going to return the 200 million yuan that you owe my family's bank? You're pushing us for money over Lin Che. My family is giving you high interest every year. Weren't you the one asking for money in the first place? I'll use 200 million yuan to support Lin Che today. Challenge me if you're not happy. His harsh words immediately invited others to join in. I'll use 100 million yuan. My family is poor. 50 million yuan from me. I'll put Lin Che on all the big screens of my shopping malls next month. Next year, I'll make all my family's theme park mascots wear masks of Lin Che's face. I'll do what I can. The ladies did not dare to say anything after seeing the guys get so ruthless. Lin Che was shocked. She exited the group and asked Lu Baikan, what exactly is this group? Well, it is a group of heirs of rich families. Everyone usually communicates in this group, Lu Baikan replied. Lin Che quickly replied to him, I'm so shocked. They are throwing around millions of yuan. This is nothing. However, the one who just supported you is rather capable out of this group. His family runs a private bank and a chain of hotels. The lady who argued with him comes from a family runs air freight and private airports. Her family is not as rich as his, so she didn't dare to challenge him. Lin Che felt as though her perspective on life had just been overturned. Since when did she get involved with people like these? On these days, these rich playboys kept to their word and supported Lin Che. They spoke up for her a lot and even challenged Mo Hilling to a confrontation if she had the guts rather than spreading rumors secretly. They were all waiting to see what Mo Hilling had to say. How would Mo Hilling ever dare to confront them? Apart from anything else, these were people she could not afford to provoke. The Mo family was also big, but they only barely scratched the surface in this circle. There were many other families much more powerful than the Mo family. She scanned through the guys who spoke up and realized that she really did not dare to face any one of them. Among these people, some even asked to send a representative for her so that everyone could talk. The representative said to Mo Hilling, they already said it. Why don't you go see them? If you dare to go, they will also dare to go. Don't you spout nonsense this time. Otherwise, I think they will really get serious. Mo Hilling was so frightened that she cowered in cold sweat. They actually all spoke up for Lin Che. Since when was Lin Che so likable? These guys were actually all on her side and helping her. Mo Hilling felt more and more jealous. She was particularly jealous of Lin Che as she did not know what was so good about her. Or was it that they were all blind to think so highly of such a lowly woman and even speak up for her? But an even deeper underlying reason was that Mo Hilling also wished that someone would help speak up for her. However, she had never experienced this kind of treatment, especially not when a group of rich playboys volunteered their fortunes in support. This would be such a flashy tale to tell. Chapter 636. Acting skills are a strength that cannot be changed. Mo Hilling was envious for a while and then her eyes filled with viciousness. She looked out at the cold moonlight. It's all because she knows how to rope people in. Humph. Father Mo saw all these and hurried home. Hilling, you really need to stop this. I heard all about it in the company today. Your nonsense this time has provoked many nobilities. What are we going to do if they decide to join forces? Mo Hilling was already feeling frustrated. Hearing her father say this, she got angrier. Dad, why are you being so nosy? I know my limits. Father Mo obviously did not listen to her. He hurried to her side as his face was filled with worry. Hilling, our family cannot fight against so many people. Furthermore, it's useless for you to keep talking bad about her. If you offend someone, it won't benefit us at all. I already told you a long time ago. You have to be careful. See how many people you've provoked now because of this matter. Now, they are all against us. Mo Hilling stood up angrily. Father Mo circled her as he advised her tirelessly, Hilling. It's all because Lin Che instigated this on purpose. And you don't have a good lever like her to know so many people. Whose fault is it here? If you were also like her and stole hearts everywhere, you wouldn't be a lone army putting up a brave fight now. It's all because you're not as capable as her. You don't know all these people. Okay Dad, stop it. I'm already frustrated as it is. If you keep talking, I'm really going to kill myself. Mo Hilling vented. Fine, don't be angry. Father Mo decided to appease her on account that she was carrying Gu Jingze's child. Just wait quietly for your child to be born. At least we will still protect your child from harm. It's just that this Lin Che is so capable now, so you better stay away from her. Otherwise, she might really want to deal with your child. That would be the most challenging part. Mo Hiling scoffed. She did not want to concede, but she had no other choice. Father Mo shook his head and mumbled in puzzlement. Who would have thought that Lin Che would be so capable? In such a short span of time, she already got to know so many rich people. Any one of them could hold us off for a long time. Now, they have all ganged up. This is really scary. Lin Che saw that everyone supported her so much and she felt like she should say something. She said to Lu Baikan, "Help me thank them please." Lu Baikan replied, "You're in the group anyway. You can say it yourself." How could Lin Che dare to? I don't want to. There are so many wealthy people and if I step out to speak it'll be so awkward. You do it. Help me please. Lu Baikan sent a forehead smacking emoticon. Fine, I'll do it. Shortly after, a message popped up in the WeChat group. Lu Baikan said, "Thank you on behalf of Lin Che. It is not convenient for Lin Che to talk now, so she wants me to thank everyone for your trust and support." Whoa, Lu Baikan, where did you come from? Lu Baikan, you're on Lin Che's side too. Boss Lu, you didn't even invite me to your wedding. When are you going to treat me to a meal? Lu Baikan's appearance made everyone start talking. Lin Che watched. She did not expect Lu Baikan to have such an attraction. She was embarrassed and quickly messaged Lu Baikan privately, "Okay, thank you." Lu Baikan replied, "It's fine. Don't bother with them." Lin Che resolved this side of the matter. She went to the company and continued observing the verbal war on the internet. Yu Minmin was still monitoring this. She found out that the war did not stop and it was still heating up. She was afraid that she would have to personally handle this. She first got people to look up some IP addresses and block the false ones. There were even some bots. The names of Mu Feiran and Lin Che became a sensitive topic. Anyone mentioning these names in their comments would be investigated. However, the argument was no longer about how famous each of them was. The topic turned towards their acting skills. Someone took the effort to compare the performances of Lin Che's first drama with Mu Feiran's award-winning drama. Lin Che was still green back then, and although she had skills too, she was still inexperienced. It didn't feel as authentic as Mu Feiran's impeccable skills. Naturally, Lin Che didn't have any advantage here. Some mocked, "You dare to compare with Mu Feiran's acting skills just with this?" The disparity was too large. Lin Che felt angry seeing this. However, to be acknowledged by so many people even with news like this, she thought that this was the true comparison. Furthermore, this was only the beginning. Yu Minmin later discovered that the media released news saying that Lin Che clearly left the audition of blood, crying. It looked like her audition didn't go smoothly. But in the end, she still got the female lead role. They questioned what kind of shady business went on. Netizens immediately expressed their bold opinions and said, "She looked so sullen at that time. She must not have been selected." Within a few days later, they announced her as the female lead. If her acting skills couldn't make it, her background tactics did it. Exactly. It's not the first time that Lin Che stole a role. She stole a role from Qin Wanwan previously. The Witch's Diary was supposed to be Qin Wanwan's. Lin Che should get out of blood. Don't contaminate Hollywood. Exactly. With Lin Che inside, we will not contribute to the box office. The production crew can't do this. They can't pick one that is only lively now over someone with good acting skills because of the Asian audience. We don't want Lin Che to ruin blood. Lin Che used underhanded means to snub out Mu Feiran instead of her own skills. Who did she sleep with this time in order to gain this role? Lin Che witnessed the insults get worse. She sat there and laughed. These people are really energetic. Yu Minmin said, "In the first place, many people were already salty that you got this role. However, Blood came to C Nation with no intention of looking at them. They wanted to pick Mu Feiran, but she had her own personal matters, so she couldn't take this up. Thus, they picked you. They never considered anyone else. These people make it sound like you snatched the role. Seriously, they think too much." Lin Che said, "It's okay. It's not the first time I'm getting thrown in the mud like this. Let them say what they want. No matter how ugly their words are, the role won't be theirs. Yu Minmin said, don't read the comments anymore. I'll handle the comments problem. The Witch's Diary never picked Qin Wanwan to begin with either. Now, they are saying that you snatched her role. However, the Witch's Diary will be airing soon. When the time comes, we'll let them see what is meant by good acting skills. What do we do now? I'll first find out who exactly is trying to benefit from this chaos. Mu Feiren is out of the question. She indeed already had the intention to go under the radar. She wouldn't give herself such problems. It must be someone trying to use Mu Feiren. Chapter 637. The culprits should be them. Lin Che was too lazy to bother with these anymore. Ever since she joined that group chat, she would go into it occasionally to see what these rich princesses and princes were chatting about. Yu Minmin saw her looking at her phone. She said, all right, haven't I told you? Don't look at the comments anymore. If you look at them again, I'm confiscating your phone. Okay, I wasn't peeping at the comments. I was looking at a WeChat group. Lin Che handed the phone for her to see. Yu Minmin held it and took a look. She asked in surprise, wow, what group is this? It's just a group filled with rich ladies and playboys. Isn't this a wealthy group? Yu Minmin's eyes were sparkling. Lin Che said, yes. If you could go in and simply pull out any of them as sponsors, then dollar signs already reflected in Yu Minmin's eyes. Lin Che hit her head. Yu Minmin, are you being money-minded now? Yu Minmin returned to normal. She smiled and said, no, I was just saying it for fun. Lin Che said, if you want to join, I can pull you in. Yu Minmin waved her hand dismissively, forget it. I have nothing much to say to them. I have never spoken in there either. I just go in to see what they're talking about. Then I should listen to you and see what these rich people are usually up to. But it's actually not much different from normal people. I've been seeing the whole afternoon, Lin Che replied. It's all about makeup, shopping, bags, Hermes, Chanel and stuff like that. The guys would talk about chasing girls, going to bars, buying yachts, planes, cars, game consoles and such. Yu Minmin sighed in amazement, meaning that they change our usual conversations about Taobao and Dago to way more expensive things in their conversation. It's really not a big difference, it's just a difference in money. Lin Che got up and looked outside. The presidential car was here. Lin Che smiled and said, oh my, Mr. President is here to pick you up. Yu Minmin looked out and blushed. She said, I'll head back first. You should go home early too. Go, I won't take up any more of your time. Yu Minmin left. Lin Che watched her back view and sighed. She took out her phone and continued looking at the comments. Although she was torturing herself by looking at the comments, she simply couldn't resist. Her heart was clearly still fragile, yet she still tortured herself. She finally understood this feeling. Sometimes, some comments were clearly unreasonable but arrogant. It really made her want to rebut them, but her logic warned her not to. This feeling was the worst. Especially when comments said that she had no skills and she only slept her way up. They said that she would ruin blood, and the box office would definitely fail. This made Lin Che want to retaliate even more. She wanted to tell them, you can come over if you dare. I'll perform for you and you'll see if I have the skills or not. However, there was nothing she could do. She could only watch and tolerate it. Sister Che, you haven't left. At this moment, a man's voice rang from above. Lin Che looked up and saw that it was Shui Yang. She smiled and said, yeah, I'm about to leave. How come you're here? Shui Yang replied, the public relations department wanted me to come back and sign an agreement. I'm going to start filming with another crew. Really? Are you adjusting to it? Yeah, I'm already adjusted to it. Lin Che said, that's good. The roles now are all small, but we'll gradually find better and more roles for you. It's okay, the roles now are already very good. The roles I had before only had a few minutes of screen time. Now, all my roles are involved from start to end. I'm already very satisfied. Shui Yang saw that she was still looking at comments on Weibo and she looked upset. He said to her, Sister Che, don't look at these comments. They don't know how you're like and that's why they are spouting nonsense. Lin Che nodded. She stood up and patted his shoulder. I know. Everything has its pros and cons. I wanted to be famous back then. Now that I'm a little bit famous, I must bear with insults. This is certain. Don't worry about me, alright? If you're free, you can attend some activities with me. I'll see what activities are coming up and take you along. It'll be good to show your face. Shui Yang was very surprised. He asked, "Can I? I've never attended any activities." "Of course. If there's a quota, I'll take you along." "Alright, go to the public relations department. I'm going home." "Yes, okay. Thank you, Sister Che." Lin Che watched as Shui Yang walked ahead confidently. She thought about her own words just now. Yes, when she wanted to be famous back then, she said that she would tolerate anything no matter what happened. Now that she really had fame, she shouldn't forget about her resolve in the beginning. This was only right. Being insulted just proved how famous she was. Humph. Lin Che was on her way home when Yu Minmin called her up. "I've just checked some of the IP addresses. These trolls all come from the same marketing company. And this company, do you know who they have worked with before?" "Who?" "Our old company. Dynamic Pictures." "Yes." Lin Che seemed to understand what was going on. Actually, people in the industry could find these out if they wanted to. Everyone knew of these marketing companies and they would be able to find out which group of trolls belonged to which company. Different marketing companies had different ways of doing things. Thus, it could be deduced. But they just didn't have the evidence. Since it's Dynamic Pictures, then the culprit behind this is Qin Wanwan. "I would guess so," Yu Minmin replied. Lin Che understood. It was her causing trouble again. After that, she felt a lot more enlightened. If she really let this matter affect her, it would only make Qin Wanwan happier. She also thought that her emotions were too easily affected these days. It was as if she was much more sensitive than before. In the past, she never cared about all these. When she reached home, Gu Jingze informed her that Prince could come back home. Lin Che said, "That's great. I'll go over right now." "No need for that. I'll come to pick you up." "All right." Gu Jingze kept to his word and very quickly came home to pick her up. Lin Che was much happier, especially since that wretched Mo Hilling was not an eyesore here anymore. She really felt a lot better. She truly could not understand why Mo Hilling had to pick fights with her. The two of them went to pick Prince up. At the hospital, they saw that Prince could already move about. However, they still could not let him move too much. Prince still needed to heal. The vet carefully handed the dog to them. "This still needs to cover the stomach. Keep an eye on him and don't let him lick his wounds." Lin Che hugged Prince pitifully. "Poor little thing. You'll get better very soon. It's been hard for you these past few days. We'll go back home right now." Chapter 638. You need to settle your issue with Mo Hilling. The vet watched as the couple left with the dog. The past few days when they were kept on their toes were finally over. They could completely relax now. Otherwise, with the Gu family's guards keeping watch outside, so many people did not dare to come in. It really affected the business. People who didn't know would wonder what crimes they committed. Lin Che brought Prince home. The maids already helped prepare a new, warmer bed for him. They were prepared to take good care of the injured dog and prevent anything from happening again. Gu Jingze put his arm around Lin Che. "All right, Prince is being taken care of. Don't worry anymore. Let's go and rest." Lin Che said, "Let me look at him for a little longer." Gu Jingze straightened his face on purpose. "If that's the case, I'll have Prince sent back to the hospital." Hey, don't. I'll go to sleep, all right." Gu Jingze was now satisfied. He took the unwilling Lin Che away. The next day, Lin Che was to go overseas with the blood crew to sign the contract. Lin Che said to Gu Jingze, "I'll be going overseas and coming back in a few days. They didn't tell me beforehand and suddenly told me today. It's probably because I have to go through some procedures. Furthermore, the director over there and the rest of the crew want to meet me." Gu Jingze's brows raised slightly. His expression was icy, showing that he was not happy. Lin Che buried herself in his arms. She reached up to caress his hardened jaw. She thought that it felt nice. "I can't possibly make them come to C Nation to meet you. It's so far away. It's better for me to just go over there rather than making so many people come over here, right? Gu Jingze only nodded slightly. He looked at Lin Che who was giving him puppy eyes. He sighed helplessly. I'll arrange a plane for you. I can just take a regular plane, Lin Che said. Gu Jingze was used to taking a private plane as it was more comfortable. Thus, when she usually traveled with Gu Jingze, she was fine with tagging along. However, one single trip for a private plane was very costly. If she was going on her own, she would rather not take the private plane. Buying a first-class ticket was almost the same thing. Gu Jingze walked to stand in front of her and looked at her in the eyes. If she wasn't going to listen, he was not letting her go, no. Lin Che narrowed her eyes. She looked at Gu Jingze and asked cautiously, well, doesn't it cost a lot to fly a private plane? She remembered hearing someone say that buying a plane was a small matter. It was the maintenance of the plane that was costly. For every takeoff, the amount spent on personnel, fuel, and maintenance was shocking. Gu Jingze said, one takeoff doesn't cost that much. The airport has a passage and professional staff especially for us. We don't need to rent another space for flying. Huh, really? I thought it would cost a lot, Lin Che said. No, Gu Jingze replied. Fuel, taxes and staff salaries, when added up, will only cost around 5 or 600,000 yuan. Only 5 or 600,000 yuan. It did cost a lot. Even a first-class ticket would only cost over 100,000 yuan. She quickly waved her hand dismissively, no, I'll go on my own. Even if I bring some of my staff with me, it'll only cost less than 100,000 yuan. Gu Jingze once again stopped in front of her, the money does not matter. I just want you to reach your destination safely. Taking the plane alone is not safe. Lin Che looked at him, how can it not matter, we are married, your money is my money. If you spend that much my heart will hurt. Your money was my money. Gu Jingze's eyes seemed to be on fire. He stared at Lin Che for a long time and then smiled as he pulled her into his embrace. The money I earn is for you to spend. If you don't use it, what motivation would I have to work hard? But listen to me, Gu Jingze asserted. This is my most basic request. This cropped up too suddenly and he could not take the time out. Otherwise, he wouldn't let her travel so far alone. Lin Che's bright eyes blinked as she looked at his serious expression. She laughed, fine, I'm just going overseas for a short period. It's not like I've never been overseas. You're so dumb, who knows if you'll end up getting lost? Idiot, I won't. It's not like you haven't been lost. That was just an accident. Lin Che knew that he was referring to that incident in France. Gu Jingze held her hand and fiddled with her fingers. He nagged tirelessly, in any case, remember to always be careful. Bring my men along with you. Also, come back the moment you're done. Okay. He planted a kiss on her lips, leaving a light trace of wetness behind. He looked at Lin Che. He felt as if she would get lost the moment he let go of her hand. He worried about her as if she was a child. When it came to her, it felt as if she would melt in his mouth or fall in his hands. He never had any weaknesses. Now, he worried a lot more. He knew that he shouldn't be like this, but he couldn't help it. He withdrew the darkness on his face and his expression was plain again. He patted her butt. Go get ready. Lin Che knew that she could not reject him anymore. She nodded. Gu Shand called Gu Jingze back to the Gu household. When he arrived, Gu Shand, Gu Lanshan, his little aunt, and Mu Wanqing were there. Gu Shand asked, Little Che is not home. Gu Jingze's eyes scanned across them and fixated on Gu Lanshan. He then said, she's overseas. Gu Shand nodded and fell silent. Every wrinkle on his aged face was majestic. His fingers moved up and down on the table. The emerald on his finger hit against the tabletop, making very judicial sounds. Jingze, I heard that you kicked Mo Hilling out. What exactly happened? There have been so many rumors the past few days. Hearing them made me very annoyed. The Gu family always kept a low profile. It had been years since such a thing like this happened. Now, every mention of the family would lead to bad remarks, especially about the child. The commotion was so huge that it shook the entire Gu family. Everyone made small talk with Gu Jingze and asked him how he was going to deal with this matter. Gu Jingze said, "Grandfather, who came to disturb you while you were resting so that they can wag their tongues?" Gu Jingze did not look at Gu Jingze. However, his gaze shifted over to her direction. Gu Jingze immediately stood up. "Jingze, what is the meaning of this? Do you think that it's me again? You can't push the blame onto me this time. These rumors have been passed around for a while and everybody already heard them. Many people also came to ask us. I didn't say anything in front of your grandfather. You can forget about blaming me," Gu Jingze grunted. "It has been peaceful for our family for so many years. We've never had such a preposterous thing occur to us. That is why I say that one must choose his wife carefully. A good person would have a clean background and be of equal status. It would make a huge impact in the future." Chapter 639. I came to tell you that we are going to have a wedding. Gu Jingze stood there as he listened to her words. His gaze was light and his figure became much more sullen. "Auntie, are you talking about Lin Che? You see, even you know it yourself. You married a girl with such a shady family background. The wind she carries along led to all the trouble that happened in our family." Gu Jingze knew that her relationship with Lin Che was already beyond salvation. If Lin Che was going to be head of the family in the future, Gu Jingze would absolutely not live in peace. She thought that she might as well give up on all that. Things were already in this state. It was best if Lin Che could leave Gu Jingze completely. It was better to let Mo Hilling marry Gu Jingze than to let Lin Che take control. However, if this was not possible, at least she was going to kick up a fuss until Lin Che could never become head of this family. Alternatively, she wanted to make Lin Che completely lose her power so that she couldn't retaliate. As for Gu Jingze, they shared the same surname after all and were relatives. Even if he didn't like her, he wouldn't do anything to her. She could not be certain about anyone who was not a Gu. Gu Jingze gradually turned his head. His clear eyes had no hint of warmth. Those dark pupils were like empty caves that surrounded people with a cold, powerful, firm and deathly atmosphere. Gu Jingze replied, "Auntie, you have forgotten that it was grandfather who made me marry Lin Che. Now that you're mentioning this in front of grandfather, are you trying to go against him?" Gu Jingze retorted, "Your grandfather made you marry her to carry on the bloodline. But now, she not only did not fulfill her duty, she even caused so much trouble. Since it's like this, we now have someone else who can carry on the bloodline. In comparison to Lin Che, her background is clean, her family is stable, and she has a prominent status. She is better than Lin Che in every aspect. Naturally, Lin Che is already not the best candidate. I believe that I'm not the only one who thinks this way." Gu Jingze scoffed. Along with the curve of his cold smile, his sullen aura flowed throughout the room. It instantly made everyone shiver and keep a distance from him. "I did not come back to hear Auntie badmouth my wife. I came to inform everyone that Lin Che and I will be holding a wedding ceremony in the near future. In addition, it will be very grand." Gu Jingze was stumped. They never held a wedding ceremony before. Why would he suddenly want to do so? Was it to publicly and openly announce Lin Che's status so that it would pave her future path as the matriarch? Gu Jingze's expression changed. She stared coldly at Gu Jingze and said, "I object. I believe there are more people who disagree too. She still does not have a child currently. Who knows if she physically can bear children? What if after making it public, we have to change our story? We'd become the laughing stock. You still want a wedding ceremony? Letting Lin Che into our family is already her greatest honor and you still want to hold a wedding for her? Does her status deserve it?" "Auntie." Gu Jingze turned to face her. When he stared at Gu Jingze, his eyes were calm and unwavering. At the same time, they were dark and stormy. Gu Jingze would rarely lift his finger, but when he did, nobody could stop him. His coldness was well known since he was young. Gu Jingze never bothered to know in great detail, but she had vaguely heard about it. However, she still would not believe that he would do anything to his auntie because of one Lin Che. After all, she was his blood relative. However, when Gu Jingze stared at her, her heart gradually became blurred. Those eyes were too cold. They were so cold that they seemed to freeze her heart up. Coldness seeped through her body from the inside and through her skin. Gu Jingze said, I call you auntie on account that we are related by blood. Anything apart from that, I've never received a bit of favor from you. Neither have I been looked after by you for one day, much less received any affection from you. Thus, this is my warning to you. Don't interfere with my marriage with Lin Che. His violently strong aura caused her entire body to shiver. Gu Lanshan felt her heart palpitate. She held her hand against her chest as her red lips remained half opened. Her makeup couldn't even hide the fear on her face. Although she knew Gu Jingze's personality all along, this was the first time he really stared at her face to face. And it was all because a woman. It was because of Lin Che. As a member of the Gu family, Gu Lanshan had never experienced such treatment in her life. Nobody had ever talked to her this way. Looking at Gu Jingze's gaze now, it was as if she lost her ability to speak. She was dumbfounded. After a long time, she finally regained some strength and turned to Gu Shand. Father, are you seeing this? I know it was you who wanted Jingze to marry Lin Che in the beginning, but it was sister-in-law who gave you this suggestion. It wasn't your original intention. Look what happened now. See what Lin Che has done because you chose her. Now, Jingze has been enchanted by her and is starting to protect her. He's going against his own family right now. In the future, who knows what else is going to happen? Gu Shand was listening to them the whole time. For so many years in business, it was absolutely unacceptable to call Gu Shand an old tycoon. He looked at Gu Jingze, then at Gu Lanshan, and said, Jingze, be polite to your auntie. You are younger than her. You must also know your limits. Gu Lanshan was a bit stunned, but then, Gu Shand said, Lanshan, you are being too nosy. Jingze has to handle this matter. However, it's not as serious as you think it is. He looked at Gu Jingze, if Mo Hilling's child is born, get a DNA test done immediately. If it belongs to our family, I'll raise the child on your behalf. If the child is not ours, we'll immediately make it public. But now that the child is still not born, don't hold the wedding for the time being. Otherwise, the rumors will get uglier. Gu Jingze's gaze shifted to Gu Shand, grandfather. Gu Shand said, Jingze, listen to me this time. What if I say no? Everybody was stunned once again. Was Gu Jingze starting to rebel against Gu Shand for the sake of going public with Lin Che? Gu Lanshan chimed in again, Father, you see this. I told you that this Lin Che will be a scourge sooner or later. Gu Jingze remained standing alone. He had an unstoppable strength. He said plainly, even if she's a scourge, I want her now. If any of you want to object, you still have to consider what I want. I said that I'll publicly announce our marriage. We have already taken our wedding photos and we'll be able to prepare for our wedding soon. Object all you want, I don't care. I'm only here today to inform you. Gu Lanshan glared at Gu Jingze. Gu Jingze stared back at her. What's wrong, auntie? You have something to say. Gu Lanshan stepped backward. A lady of the Gu family was now actually forced to back down by her own nephew. However, she couldn't admit defeat. Looking at Gu Jingze's posture now, she was so suppressed that she did not dare to say a word. Chapter 640, Afraid of ruining you in my hands. It was as if the words were stuck in her chest. Even if she had the breath, she could not speak up. When Gu Jingze got angry, she did not expect him to have such a formidable pressure in his silence. No wonder the leaders of the Gu family was practically dependent on him. No wonder everyone was so afraid of him. This king-like aura was probably God's gift to him. Thus, even though he didn't say anything over the line, he didn't need to say anything at all. Just his stare was already enough. Gu Lanshan was not happy, but she could only quietly swallow her own words. She looked at Gu Shand and felt that even he could not hold Gu Jingze back. How could she have the ability to oppose him then? She could only bear with it for the time being. Meanwhile, her hatred for Lin Che grew. So many maids and family members were looking and waiting for her to say something, but she was reprimanded by Gu Jingze right there. Where could she put her face now? As a daughter of the Gu family, she had never been so embarrassed in her life. Gu Shand cleared his throat and slowly hoisted himself up. He looked at Gu Jingze. My suggestion on this is still to hold your horses. I know that you've grown up now and I can't control you, But for the sake of Lin Che's reputation, you should also think this through carefully. Do you really want to hold a wedding with Lin Che so suddenly and let outsiders look at this commotion? As long as the child problem is not resolved, the more high profile you and Lin Che are, the more they will insult Lin Che. I know that many people are citing Lin Che, but the more support she gets, the more she will shine and the more underhanded people will be. You better think carefully about this. Whether I'm just trying to scare you or not, you should know better than me. Ji Yuxian grunted and looked at Ji Yulanchen. Ji Yulanchen was so angry that she stared back angrily at Ji Yuxian. Gu Jingze turned and left abruptly as if he did not hear Ji Yuxian's words at all. Mu Wanqing was hesitant, but she couldn't help much in this matter. She could only clench her hands worriedly as lament filled her heart. Who knew that one accident that time would lead to so many changes today? She could only sigh. It was Lin Che's fate to have an unstable life. That was why so many problems surfaced. However, she was also an experienced person. She knew that no matter who it was who married into the Gu family, they would experience a similar process. After all, it was lonely at the top. She had been on top for many years and was already used to being targeted. She was only afraid that now, it was Lin Che who was going to take over this position. For someone as innocent as her, she would not be able to withstand it completely. Ji Yulanchen could not conceal the anger in her whole body. Father, Jingze is ridiculous. He's opposing me now because a woman. I am his aunt. Ji Yuxian said, stop it. You were forcing him. I also don't know exactly how great his ability is. He has always been this unreadable since he was a child. This small brain of his hid so many ideas that even I couldn't figure out. I also can't guess the amount of power and ability he holds in his hands. And you still want to force him? But enough. We have not gotten to that stage yet. Don't be so anxious in your actions. Gu Jingze never cared about relationships even when he was with Mo Hiling. Ji Yulanchen never thought that he would be this stubborn. Now, the aloof Gu Jingze actually gave his first tinge of affection to Lin Che. That Lin Che was way too lucky. She was such an average little subject with an average background. Because of Gu Jingze's protection, she immediately flew to the branches as a phoenix. She was no longer average. However, thinking about this great disparity and how a person with such an origin was going to stand above her head, Ji Yulanchen was extremely furious. Lin Che brought her staff to the airport. Everyone looked at Lin Che excitedly as they walked through the private passageway to the private airport. Curiosity filled all their eyes. Sister Che, this is amazing. It's my first time flying in such a plane. The passage here is so different from the normal one. Sister Che, you're absurd. It's crazy that you're taking us overseas on a private plane. Everybody would die of envy if they knew. They'll be envious that you followed the right person. You're not the capable one, Sister Che is. Everyone gleefully entered the VIP lounge, which had everything including fruits, drinks, and snacks. Everyone saw this and was stunned. Lin Che smiled and said, I borrowed it just to make everyone feel a little more comfortable. After all, the flight is more than 10 hours long. It's a private plane. Of course, it'll be comfortable. Sister Che, you're really so good to us. Exactly. I'll exude all my fire in the future and help Sister Che blaze a new trail. They were a group of young people. Thus, it was very lively when they gathered together and boarded the plane. Just before takeoff, Yu Minmin called Lin Che and said, let me know once you've arrived there. Okay. Can every one of you stop treating me like a child? I have so many people with me. How can I get lost? Yu Minmin heard this and chuckled, you can't blame me. Blame it on that one in your home. He called me up this morning and told me to take good care of you. Oh my, you're so precious to him. I'm afraid that you would melt in my mouth and fall through my hands. Get lost. It's really hard to imagine that this person turns out to be Gu Jingze. Okay, I'm hanging up. We're taking off soon. Alright, I'll spare you, but please do be careful. Leave everything on this side to me. Don't worry about it. Such a drag, Yu Minmin. You're really becoming quite the nagger. Lin Che hung up and the plane was preparing to take off. Because they were all together, they could talk and laugh all the way. This made the flight duration more durable. The hours passed very quickly and they disembarked the plane. The crew on the other side picked them up. The crew was also very surprised when they heard that Lin Che's crew was arriving in a private plane. They did not expect C-Nation actors to be so generous and fly in private planes. They did not dare to be any more scornful. They believed that Lin Che looked like a big shot in C-Nation and her value was high. Thus, they were a lot warmer towards her as they took her and her crew to the hotel to rest. Meanwhile, in C-Nation, Mo Hilling called Gu Lanshan a few times but she did not pick up. Because Gu Lanshan was embarrassed at the Gu household this time, she wondered if she chose the right person. She thought that this Mo Hilling was really so useless that she couldn't win over Lin Che. She felt that it was Mo Hilling who caused her embarrassment. Mo Hilling still did not know what happened with the Gu family. She only vaguely heard rumors that Gu Jingze was going to hold a wedding with Lin Che in the near future. She was stunned. The image of Lin Che and Gu Jingze in matrimony was like 1,000 stabs to her heart. Gu Jingze really wanted to marry Lin Che.